Hi class. For this video, what I'll do is show you how to enter data. I think this will be helpful. We covered it in the lab a couple of times, but let's try it here and I'll go step by step. First of all, when you cut on the SPSS program, you'll see this view, data view. And what you'll need to do is come to the left-hand side at the bottom where it says variable view and go ahead and click that tab just like that. Okay, so this is a screen that you'll input your variables and just take these straight from your survey that you've developed. And again, just look at this as if it's your code book. So for instance, if you're using a nominal level variable, say for instance, race or ethnicity, you would first abbreviate what that is here, and then come right over here to the decimals. And for this entire column, we'll just make sure that we don't have any decimals there. So all these will actually be 0. I could do it later. I'll copy and paste and see how that works, or else I'll just do it for all of them, each of them. Okay. So, and then you can say, what is your race? Or you can just say race, ethnicity, and put a question mark, whatever your preference is. What is your race, ethnicity? Okay? And that will automatically widen the label column, or you can do it yourself by just sliding the blocks there. Okay, so the values. This is where you'll define the values. So if 1 is for African American, 2 is for Caucasian, 3 is for Latino, you would first of all click into the square so that you can get this box here. Click on that blue box and then you can define your values. So the label for that one, I think I said African American, and I may just abbreviate and come right to here and add, and it'll bring it here. So it'll tell you what your value is and then your level or your category for that variable race ethnicity. All right, so these are the levels. The value is the number. Okay, so we'll just go to Caucasian, add 3, Latino, Hispanic, add, and then 4 other, and add. And depending on who the researcher is, whatever your preference is, if you're only working with a couple of groups, you may just only include those 2 groups, or if you're working with biracial or multicultural groups, then you could also include a value and level for that. Okay, and then make sure that you click OK before Xing out here, or you'll lose your information. So we'll go away from it, and then if you want to return, just again click into the values box and then click onto the blue square, and it'll bring that up for you. You have that option to check your spelling as well. All right, so we'll come on over here. These all mean things, but this is just what I'd like for you to pay attention to, just these 4 items. The name of your variable, abbreviated, decimals, and really that's going to be a 0. So this 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and that's a nominal level variable. Okay, and then the next one we may say age. I'll go a little faster. If this is an interval level variable, we know that we don't need to then go into here and tell the computer that a 1 means a 1. You could do that if you would like to, but it's really just wasting time if you do that. So the computer understands how to calculate numbers, so you don't want to go all the way through 100 and some if you're doing age. All right, so the computer is just fine with you not entering anything at all there in that column. So we'll go straight to the measure, the level of measurement, and it'll be scale. So where there's a ruler, just keep in mind that the only thing that you'll find on a ruler, I believe, is would be numbers. So that's a good indication that this one is for your interval level variables. Okay. All right. So we have nominal, we have interval, and let's think of an ordinal. We may say how. Oh. All right. So remember, when you're abbreviating, make sure that you don't skip any spaces. If you do like to have two words or a couple of items there, just use the underscore, and I'll show you right now. Okay. So I'll say life satisfaction, and I could do it that way, but I can't leave a space here, so I'll have to make sure I do that. All right, and then this is fine. Sometimes you could just click on to whichever column that you like to make default for all the rest of them. Highlight it and then copy it, and then highlight the areas that you want to have it duplicate, and just right click and paste. Okay, so we'll just say life satisfaction, or how satisfied are you with your life thus far? Yeah. Just clean that up a little bit. All right. So I'm going to skip right over here just because I don't want to forget and turn that into ordinal. And so now what I'll do is give a value for a certain range, and what I might even do, if I have something like not at all, I'll just do a 0. I'll start there, not at all, because that'll be important, and I don't want to, if somebody's not satisfied with their life so far, I would like to know that instead of like on a range if they're a little bit satisfied or anything like that. So I'll just have that separate, and then I'll start this range here. A little bit more than 0 is how satisfied are you? A little bit. And then I'll add it. And these are categories that you're coming up with as a researcher, so you don't have to use these same categories here. It's whatever you feel that is going to increase, but you just don't know how much is in between those values, like 0 and 1. You can't say it's a little bit more than 0, so we know that it's more if we keep going up with the numbers, the values. We just don't know how much more. Okay, so let me just show you a little bit. All right, give you a little more information. Not at all, a little bit. And maybe for some, depending on how you interpret it, you might say somewhat. But for others, think about your respondents. They may not know the difference between a little bit and somewhat. So maybe a fair amount. A little bit, a fair amount. I might even do this. I'll remove that one and just make sure that no one will misinterpret that, and I'll just say, how satisfied are you? Satisfied. And I'm still thinking about it as I type. But remember, this is already something that you decided on before you gave your survey. So when you're at this point and you're entering your data, you're just taking this straight from your surveys or your code book. But this is nothing that new that you need to make up at this point when you're about to enter your data. All right, and then I'll say I think that's going to be enough for this example. So this variable, life satisfaction, how satisfied are you with your life thus far, has a range of 0 to 3, with 3 being very satisfied and 0 being not at all. Okay, so we'll do that. If you want to go back to it, you'll do just like that. Okay? All right. And I'll just go ahead and how many. So if you're kind of looking at satisfaction or how people are coping and how they're doing, maybe some things that might indicate their satisfaction with life. How many friends. Oh, I did it again. So I'll say friends here. Let's get that right. Friends. Okay. And then I'll say, how many friends do you interact with regularly? Okay. And again, this is based on whatever you think is important towards the hypothesis or understanding the relationship between two variables or more. Right? If this is interval, then we don't need to do anything here with the values. Again, the computer will understand. We'll go to scale, and then we'll go to another variable. What are some other things that would be related to life satisfaction? Let's say earnings, how much do you earn annually? I think that would make folks happy if they earn more, or a lot, annually. So maybe these are related here, like satisfaction and earnings. And sometimes it might be related to how many friends you interact with regularly. It just depends on the relationship. Okay, so we're going to leave that open, and this again is scale. All right, so and you can have as many variables as you like to have. All right, and you may even have a scale. This may be your total scale score. So instead of say if this was all on one scale, 3 items, what you can do is just have one overall score called the satisfaction with life scale, and then only enter the total. Okay, so you don't do anything here. Say if this was like an interval level scale, and then when you're in the data view, which I'm going to switch to right now, you would just list the score, overall score, so not for each item, 1, 2, and 3, but you would get like, if it's rated on a scale of 1 to 10, sorry about that, if it's rated on a scale of 1 to 10, then the most, or for each item, 1 through 10, for number 1, 1 through 10, for number 2, 1 through 10, for number 3, on a range like that. So the highest score you could get for that entire 3-item scale would be 10, 20, 30. It would be 30. Okay? And the lowest that you could get, if it was rated from 1 to 10, would be 3. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's the lowest you can get, or a person could get. All right, so back to this study here. You would look at your surveys and take for the first survey, person number 1, and enter all the data that they responded to here for the appropriate variables. And this entire row here would be for person number 2. And what I like to do is make sure that I've numbered them, or either I assign them a unique ID or just a study number, so that I'll know that I need to